And listen, you don't need to tell me that that's unhealthy. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. And today I am here to announce that I have officially lost my damn mind because I have decided I am going to embark on Draft 2 and complete a 120,000 word manuscript in 3 months. Not just 3 months, 12 weeks. Today is Sunday, June 22nd. Summer officially started just 2 days ago. You may have heard me mention a couple of times that I have been thinking about not necessarily launching, but maybe promoting this idea of finish your book fall, where starting on the first day of fall in September and going all the way up to the last day of fall right before Christmas, that is the period of time where we can all engage in a NaNoWriMo-like challenge where we set a goal that might seem a little bit difficult, but rally around each other as a community to push ourselves to finish our books. But ever since conceiving of that idea, I have been sort of dissatisfied with my own timeline. I knew I wanted to finish the first draft pretty darn quick, and thankfully did manage to do that. But nor did I want to be still writing the second draft all the way up until December. And with my attendance at DFWCon at the beginning of October, I honestly thought I should be even further along. I thought I should be in draft 3 by the time I am potentially pitching this book to an agent. So began the harebrained idea that I would draft the second draft of Seekers of Empyrean to completion in just the season of summer, just 3 short months. That being said, as I approached the beginning of June, it wasn't looking possible. I was really hoping to have at least a month from the time I finished the draft till the time I started the new draft to take some time and really think about revisions and implement a plan and get a new outline together. Instead, what happened was I finished the draft on June 1st, which gave me only 22 days from the time I finished the draft until my proposed deadline to start the new one. And that turned out to not be that much time at all, especially as I started implementing the revision plan and realized how much time it was going to take. And yet that harebrained idea persisted. It kept nagging me and kept nagging me and kept nagging me all throughout the process of the postmortem outline, which I ended up abandoning at about the 50% mark because the revision ideas I was having to rewrite the middle 25% made it kind of redundant. And then as I moved into the second draft outline, something that I only just started working on like 4 days ago. What day was Thursday? Yeah, it was Thursday. So 4 days ago. Spoiler alert, it's not actually technically complete as we speak. But over the last couple of days, I have been watching these 75 or 185 insane challenges for writers videos. And the gist of the challenge is to give yourself some rules that you must follow every single day in order to change your life. And the writing version is, of course, in order to advance your writing career in whatever way that means to you. And while I don't think I have what it takes to do a 75 or 185 insane, hard, medium, soft challenge, even if it is for the writing version, it made me look back on the harebrained idea of writing draft 2 from start to finish in the summer. More to the point, after what I was able to accomplish in the last 2 weeks of the draft, the last 25,000 words, I think it'll be difficult, but definitely possible. And so I've decided, against all advice and all measures of sanity, I'm gonna do it. Tomorrow on June 23rd, my original target to start draft 2, all the way back when I was still in the middle of draft 1, I'm going to get started. All I need to do to complete this challenge is have discipline. What I have learned over the last 13 months of writing this book is that the biggest motivating factor for me is you guys, the internet, the writing community, making videos and content about my book. I had only completed one first draft before Seekers of Empyrean, and I've said it before, but I'm not necessarily proud of that first draft. It bears no resemblance to the one I just completed for Seekers of Empyrean, both in energy and efficiency and completion. But something shifted once I started focusing on Seekers of Empyrean and started making videos about this process of writing this book. Not only was I gaining subscribers way more than I ever did with my book-related content, I also was starting to feel a sense of camaraderie with the writing community. So that by the time I finished the world building and outlining phase and actually started the draft, I was actually finding fellowship with other author tubers. I didn't want to be the one who failed. I didn't want to be the hanger-on. I didn't want to be the aspiring writer. I wanted to be someone who, like these people I admired, actually wrote the damn book. So, in utilizing motivation from you guys, I am hoping to inject myself with some discipline and follow a very strict schedule of writing this draft. As I said, my plan is to write 120,000 words in 12 weeks. You may notice that that does conveniently divide out, and we'll see if that actually holds. But for now, the plan is to write 10,000 words per week. And the way I've designed the schedule is thusly. Monday through Friday, I will only have to write 1,000 words per day. That is something that is achievable within an hour or an hour and a half, especially if I get some of that writing done on my lunch break at work, and can easily be fit in around my other obligations. That's swimming lessons and doctor's appointments and all the other things that go into maintaining a family. So 1,000 words Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's for a total of 5,000, and then 2,500 on both Saturday and Sunday. And that is where it might get a little bit difficult. But I also think that it only seems daunting because I have tended to spend my weekends on other endeavors that were not writing. I have recently come to accept that if I want to make writing my career, it's going to have to come with some sacrifices in terms of my other hobbies like content creation and reading in order to meet that. Once I'm a full-time writer and I am at home, I can spend more time doing the videos or the reading, but for now, it's got to take a step back so I can focus on writing. And with that in mind, I think 2,500 words on Saturday and Sunday is a lot more achievable than previously thought. Now, I don't have to stick to this day-by-day schedule necessarily. If I find myself with extra time on a Tuesday and I am in the middle of a flow, there's nothing stopping me from continuing to write, and that'll actually save me words later in the week. But the ultimate goal is to have 10,000 words at least every single week. One caveat here is that I will be going on a international cruise with my family in the middle of July, and conveniently we are leaving on a Friday and coming back on a Thursday. So what I am doing for that week is just combining the 2 weeks together to form one Frankenstein week. So that way the challenge will extend for a total of 13 weeks, but it'll be 12 weeks of labor. But I won't just be relying on the motivation and the imagined public shame from the writing community to motivate me to complete this challenge. In the spirit of the 75 hard or 185 insane challenge, I have given myself punishments to adhere to if I don't meet my 10,000 words per week goal. The way I've drawn it up is that I have come up with 12 punishments. And at the beginning of each writing week, I will draw a new punishment out of this handy dandy writing inspired cup. You can't really see it, but that's supposed to be a typewriter on there. With the idea that knowing what my punishment will be if I don't succeed will motivate me to get those 10,000 words. If I don't, I will have to do the punishment the following week while also trying to write 10,000 words. I may have bitten off more than I can chew with this, but the idea, of course, is to not actually subject myself to any of these punishments. Now, if I succeed and write the 10,000 words, then I am allowed to throw away the punishment and not have to think about it and not worry about drawing it out of the cup again. But if I don't, I have to do the punishment and I have to put it back in the cup because the challenge will be extended for however many words I missed going into a 13th week. So let me tell you a little bit about these punishments. The most important thing to know is that while they will definitely feel like punishments to me, I will definitely hate them and they will definitely motivate me to not miss the 10,000 word mark. They're all secretly good for me as well. You'll see in a minute, but none of these things are inherently harmful to me or that will make me actually feel negatively about writing writing. And I think that's important. I don't want anything to actually make me dread writing or associate any sort of harmful connotations to the project. So while yes, these things will all kind of suck, they're all things A, should be doing anyway, or B, need to have done anyway, or C, will help me in the long term in my writing aspirations. So first up, we've got some health-related punishments. The first being go to the gym every day for 1 week. Now, I didn't stipulate how long I need to be at the gym, nor what sort of exercises I should do there. All I said is that I have to go to the gym every day for a week. I have to actually go inside the building too. The parking lot doesn't count. I haven't been to the gym. I think I've been once since we've lived in this house, and that's been almost 2 years. So that should give you an idea of how much I have been avoiding that place despite maintaining a membership. So how I'm going to fit in time at the gym in addition to everything else and writing, that is going to be the key motivating factor to getting my words done, is not wanting to go to the gym. Similarly, another punishment is to drink the equivalent amount of ounces in water that I do in soda every day. It may shock you to learn that I don't really drink a lot of water. I drink primarily Dr. Pepper. I'm pretty sure if you put an IV in me, that's what will come out. And listen, you don't need to tell me that that's unhealthy. You don't need to tell me that it will really make me feel better if I start drinking water. You don't need to tell me that it'll be better for my long-term health if I am drinking water and not soda all the time. And yet. So that is what this punishment is about. I haven't made it to completely cut out soda because I know that that will be impossible and that is just too much of a challenge for me to realistically hit. So instead, my thought is if I stop and get breakfast in the morning on my way to work and get a large Dr. Pepper, which is like 16 ounces, then I cannot have another Dr. Pepper until I drink 16 ounces of water. And in that way, I'm sort of incrementally increasing my water intake in a way that doesn't force me to go completely cold turkey, which works for some people. I am extremely dubious it would work on me. Thirdly, in this sort of health-related category, and it's also sort of finance-related, is if I fail to write my 10,000 words, the next week I will not be able to eat out at all. And I am a creature of habit, and I have stopped for breakfast every working day for like the last 7 years, which makes it a really scary punishment. Next up, I have a couple of writing related or productivity related punishments. The first one being delete Twitter off my phone for 1 week. I'll be honest, over the last like 6 months or so, not even 6 months, like 3 or 4 months, I have been on a social media purge because I realized how much time I was wasting on it. Facebook and TikTok were the biggest like time sucks. I would just get into these like video algorithms and I would just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. I would literally spend like 8 hours in bed if I didn't have the kids, just watching videos. And it was such a useless time suck. And so I have already been sort of culling back my social media usage, but Twitter is the one I have not been able to give up on because it is not as much of a time suck. There isn't like the dopamine cycle of watching videos that you get from like TikTok. And I mostly use it to stay connected with my sports fandom, which has been the primary reason I haven't deleted it so far, is because I enjoy getting on there and reading news about sports and things. But I'll do it if I have to. If that's what it takes to get me to write 10,000 words, then maybe that's what I have to do. I mean, I'm sure if I looked at my screen time usage, you would probably see like 2 hours a day on there. So it's not like it's completely innocent of being a distraction. So deleting Twitter for 1 week. And in this house, we still call it Twitter. The next punishment in this category is waking up 1 hour early every single day to write for 1 week. I am not a morning person. I joke all the time at work that my brain doesn't even start functioning until 10 a.m. For that reason, I have contrived my entire life to make it so that I don't have to get up a minute earlier than I absolutely have to. It is the summer right now, which means I don't have a school run. And so I am literally getting up like 30 minutes before I have to be at work. That is how much I want to be in my bed in the mornings. So getting up early to write, it feels like a punishment just thinking about it. Setting my alarm for 6 a.m. sounds like torture to me, even if it's to get up and do something productive like writing. I do not want to do that, but I will if I have to. That is why it's a punishment. and why I do not want to draw it out of this cup at any point. Similarly, but not as harsh, is writing only at my desk for 1 week. I haven't used my desk in probably 4 or 5 months. I prefer to sit in my recliner or on my couch or wherever. I don't want to be sitting at my desk. Even though I know Atomic Habit says you should make a space for the habit you want to start and do that thing in that space and kind of associate the physical space with the habit you want to form. I know, but like, I don't want to sit there. I want to be in the living room. I want to be accessible to my kids. I want to have the baseball game on in the background. I want to be 5 steps away from the fridge. So making my desk the only place I can write for 1 week would be a motivating factor. Not just that, I would also have to clean it off again. So there's that too. And then finally, in this productivity punishment category, I will only be allowed to listen to my Seekers of Empyrean inspired playlist for the entire week. And that's a big yikes, because even when I'm at work, I tend to have like AuthorTube on in the background. Sports are often on. I like to listen to ambient music at night. If I can only listen to my Seekers inspired playlist, that would really change what I am thinking about during the day, which is why it's helpful, even if it's a punishment. The other thing is I actually haven't made a Seekers inspired playlist because I'm not actually super inspired by music. There's one song that I do feel really embodies Seekers, so I would have to build a playlist around that entire song. Let's hope we don't get to that point. And then we have some non-writing productivity punishments. The first being start and finish an entire audiobook in 1 week. If you are new here, you may not know that I have audio processing issues, and that makes listening to audiobooks really difficult for me. I have to be able to concentrate on them. So the only times where I'm really able to do that is when I'm like in the shower, or I'm on a long commute, or I'm doing the dishes, something that is so rote I don't need to think about what I'm doing, so I can concentrate on the words that are being pumped into my head. And for that reason, I really don't listen to audiobooks at all. Despite having an Audible account that has been tapping my wallet every month, I don't listen to audiobooks. So having to start and finish one would force me to prioritize it in moments where I would rather be watching YouTube or whatever. So again, it's productive. I'm reading a book, but it's not my preference. Then another punishment would be to deep clean my master bathroom by myself in 1 day. That bathroom has not been deep cleaned nearly the amount of times it should have since we've moved here, and it needs it. It needs it bad. And I have always sort of thought that would be a project that me and my partner tackled together. So by eliminating him from the equation, I have made it a real punishment. I would be in there like half the day, I am sure. And it's not even that big a bathroom. I would show you, but I don't want to. You can see into my closet, which is also a mess right now, which is why another punishment would be to do a closet/clothing purge. I have way too many clothes, and it is kind of a problem. I am frequently running out of hangers. The real issue is that there's just some things that I have bought and worn once and decided it wasn't for me and I want to get rid of and just never have. And also, like, I have a high heel collection that I started like 8 years ago and built and then stopped wearing them. That might be something that I could go through and like donate some. Just some general cleanup definitely needs to be done. I do not want to do it in any way, shape, or form though, which is why it's an effective punishment. Similarly, the last sort of productivity punishment is to do a clean out of my linen closet. The closet across from my bedroom has always sort of been a catch-all. We keep the towels in there and any kind of spare sheets and blankets and pillows and things in there, but also like the broom and dustpan and the steam mop, the vacuum cleaner, they're all kind of tucked in there. And then at one point, I think we had like a box or something and the cat got in there and shredded it. It's a mess. It needs to be tidied up. Anyway, it's a project. Again, it's a project that I've been putting off. But for how much longer is the question. And lastly, the final punishment doesn't really fit into any sort of category, but it is to donate $100 to a nonprofit organization that supports authors. Again, not a bad thing, but would definitely hit me right where it counts in the wallet. So I don't know what nonprofit that would be. I would have to do some research, but again, that is definitely a motivating factor. I've got the cruise coming up, then I've got my daughter's birthday in August, which also happens to be the same day that they start school. So I'm also going to need school supplies and new clothes. So the summer is a not a good time to be spending money frivolously. So do not want to go that route if I can avoid it. So that is the 12 punishments I have put in this little cup, and 12 punishments I hope to avoid throughout the course of this challenge. But punishments aren't the only way I'm going to be motivating myself. I am not, despite evidence, a masochist. I have thought of a couple of rewards for hitting certain milestones. Specifically, I've got 4. One at 30,000 words, one at the halfway point of 60,000, one at 90, and then, of course, the finish line of 120,000. So once I hit the 30,000 word mark, I will give myself leave to buy one book, but not just any book, one special edition book that I have had my eye on for a while. I've got several in mind that I'm thinking of that I just haven't pulled the trigger on for whatever reason. And this is a good opportunity, a good excuse to pick up one of those books and a way to motivate myself as well and to reward myself for all my hard work. At 60,000 words, I am going to buy myself a bundt cake. If you're familiar with Nothing Bundt Cake, we have several in the DFW area, including one a alarmingly close distance to my house. And I have treated myself to the little teeny tiny ones that are like that big, but I am not talking about a teeny tiny one. I am talking about a full size birthday cake size bundt cake as a celebration for hitting the halfway point in my draft. That might be a little rich for just 60,000 words, but also like I could demolish a red velvet cake right about now just thinking about it. At 90,000 words, I will be gifting myself a thrifting trip where I can go out to the thrift store and buy myself some clothes. I've been on the lookout for some more jewelry and some more shoes of late. I could really use a little bit of all three. My daughter has also recently really gotten into thrifting and she always wants to come with me, so that would also be a nice mother-daughter trip. And lest you could be concerned about everything I just said about the finances, I do have my clinical trial money that I have earmarked for this little expense as well. So never you fear, I am not being counterintuitive with these rewards and punishments. And then lastly, for finishing the draft, I will be rewarding myself with a new ring. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on this channel, but this ring that I am always wearing, I actually bought for myself with the first money I ever made from my writing back when I was writing, semi-professionally writing romance novellas for Scribd. I got one payment upon delivery of the manuscript, and it was like 7 cents a word, so it was really decent money for a 40,000 word manuscript. My original thought was to buy myself a new piece of jewelry with every one that I turned in. It didn't turn out with this way, but the very first one, I did go ahead and buy myself a nice ring. And I am returning to that idea to reward myself with a piece of jewelry that I feel a special connection to as a reward for finishing the whole damn draft. And oh my gosh, my battery is about to die. Okay, sorry for the change in perspective. I had to plug my camera in and I still am not confident in how much time I have. So to wrap up, that is my plan to write 120,000 words in 12 weeks. If you were to ask me at any given moment whether I think I'm actually going to succeed with this challenge, I would say it's probably a coin flip. But I have often found that when I set myself a higher goal than what I normally perceive I'm able of accomplishing, I often push myself farther than I would have normally. And while I may not meet the goal, I get farther than I would have without setting the goal. Does that make sense? So if I set myself, let's just do 60,000 words this summer, I might would hit 60,000, I might would hit 40,000. But by setting myself a 120,000 word goal, I might hit 80,000, I might hit 90. Maybe I won't get all the way to 120,000, but I do think that I'll be farther along than I would have without this challenge. And I also think that by making a game of it with these punishments and rewards, and by bringing you along with me on the journey, I think the combination of factors will really push me to get this draft in the books. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know in the comments which one of these punishments you think is not harsh enough and which one you think would be an actual punishment if I force myself to do it. In my next video, you will have the very first writing vlog of this challenge. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.